happening? It happened.
Come on, then. What? How about you?
When does this happen in the movie?
Now. You're looking at now, sir. Everything that happens now is happening now.
What happened to then?
We passed then.
When?
Just now. We're at now.
Go back to then.
When?
Now.
Now?
Now.
I can't.
Why?
We missed it.
When?
Just now.
Take it off, dickhead. I'm serious.
Richard, what's happening?
I am a god, you dull creature, and I will not be bullied by that.
Your tiny Jesus, your golden fleece diapers with.
And we're live, all you tiny Jesuses. Welcome to the countdown, episode number 25, where me and somebody else count down something involving the world of movies or cinematic adventures, if you will. Today, very special guest. It's Austin Pezzo. Austin, how are you?
Hey, let's talk some horror. One of my favorite things to talk about. And yeah, no, I figured JPO threw me a line. Hey, what do you want to do a countdown for? I said, well, I've seen that Boogeyman trailer about 18,000 times now. with it coming out this week, finally I won't have to see it anymore. Kind of like how many times I saw the trailer for the Black Phone before it came out. Then got delayed. Then had to see the trailers all over again.
More.
Saw it. Yeah. So thank God I'll be done with those trailers by this Friday. But it gave me an idea of, it's another kind of one of these PG-13 horror movies that tries to be nice and creepy. So let's talk some PG-13 horror, and only PG-13 horror, not PG horror.
PG.
So that excludes stuff like your Poltergeists, your Jaws, even my favorite Invasion of the Body Snatcher 78 is PG, despite the boobies.
The first Poltergeist is PG, huh? I didn't even know that.
PG because, it was before the 84 induction of the PG-13 rating. So, back in 82, it didn't exist yet. So, the Gremlins kind of helped with that, Temple of Doom. A couple of movies that came out then were kind of like, we need something in between.
It's not R, but it's not PG.
And Spielberg produced a lot of those movies, so he kind of lobbied. He had that power to lobby to get like a new rating in there, something in between to give a little extra warning. But it kind of created a whole new thing of, and obviously PG-13 horror kind of became a thing. Especially in the early 2000s. My God, so many of those. This
is the pool list that he had was a lot bigger than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, not always great, but I think we'll point out some ones that are good that use it, well enough.
I like my 10. I recommend my 10.
Yeah, same here for sure.
All right, no further ado. If you got some honorable mentions, name those, and then let's get that nitty-gritty number 10.
Yeah, so honorable mention here, I'll throw out Signs, a little M. Night Shyamalan. I think it still does a pretty good job setting that atmosphere, being nice and creepy without, really doing any kind of blood or gore or anything like that. Nice scares there. I'll go the first Insidious. I do think is quite good. Really good kind of earned jump scares, nice creepy vibes with the old-timey music and just some creepy character design, things like that. Again, fairly bloodless. I'll go Happy Death Day, kind of horror comedy. Some good kills, some good slashes, but still a good kind of satirical vibe and a nice, sort of time loop element. I think, Groundhog's Day with slasher movies, that sort of thing, but it's a lot of fun. 10 Cloverfield Lane, I'll throw out there. I think is a nice kind of horror thriller. One of John Goodman's more underrated performances out there. I think really, and one of the best of his career when you sit down and think about it. He's nice and creepy and has that sort of one location element that I really like that I'll talk about maybe throughout this thing. We'll see. And I'll throw out The Others with Nicole Kidman. I think that's a really nice atmospheric, creepy kind of got that almost like a Hammer horror vibe with the old mansion and kind of being set. I think in what is it, like World War I era, World War II era, something like that.
Old timey,
yeah, something like that. But a nice little twist there. I won't spoil if you haven't seen it, but kind of a good sort of ghost story that opens itself. So it's really good. So a couple of my honorable mentions. What do you got?
My honorable mentions. I also have Insidious, so I'm right there with you. That's kind of on the cusp. I threw in Red Eye. That's a fun one. If you ignore the first scene, the first 20 minutes play like a rom-com. Krampus, I have a lot of fun with Krampus. I Am Legend with Will Smith. If it wasn't for the CGI, I think it'd be even higher. But it sets out
the CGI. There was a thing around the late 90s and early 2000s with like the stretchy mouth, like that people were obsessed with. Like the long mouth. I don't know what that trend was.
It takes you out of it a little bit. Otherwise, I think a really good movie.
Right.
And then right on the cusp, another comedy one, and I have some comedy in my main list. Final Girls.
Yeah.
Very much of a spoof. They're inside an actual like 80s slasher.
No, I definitely got some horror comedies, as you'll see, sprinkled throughout my list. So I think
I do as well. Yeah.
it's a good way to use the PG-13 horror to get have some scary scenes.
Yeah, you don't need to be
on a
ultra
lighter vibe.
violent necessarily if you're
Right.
PG-13. So
Yeah, totally, man. So you want me to go first? Should you go first?
no, let's hear that. I want to hear that 10.
All right. So number 10, I'll go with a fairly recent movie based on a short film. I'll go with Lights Out for number 10, directed by David Sandberg, who went on to bigger and better things with those Shazam films, throwing in a few horror scenes here and there with that one. But yeah, it kind of it started out as, it's a cool story because it started out as this short film that you can still find, on YouTube. It's just like a woman kind of in her bedroom turning the lights on and off, kind of what you see in the trailers and the actual movie of the creepy lady kind of, in the background, with the long hair and things like that. And it's just a really cool concept. We see plenty of these movies where it has like, oh, somebody creepy is like standing in the background or in the shadows or whatever. But like literally this one is kind of in the shadows, like where if you have lights on, they can't get you, turn the lights out, they can't get you. It's a very simple concept, but I think it really works. And what makes this movie also stand out, it's like 85 minutes. I mean, it breezes by. You don't waste a whole lot of time. We get right into it with a little bit of character work, and then we're kind of right in it. But it actually has smart characters. I think a lot of the characters in this movie make smart decisions. They do anything they can to keep the lights on. One character is getting attacked in a driveway, and he hits like the button on his car to like hit the car alarm, so the lights like flash on, and like it's a last minute decision. They start fires, whatever they have to do to kind of get any kind of light in any sort of situation. So good, smart characters here that are genuinely trying to survive. It's got a nice some revelations about some family stuff here and there, but again, a very simple one that doesn't have to rely on blood and guts to still be really, really creepy. And then when you get home from the movie, you contemplate maybe keeping that closet light on, over in the corner. So I think it's a very simple movie, but it still works really well. So yeah, my number 10 is Lights Out, JPO. What do you think about that one?
I like that one actually. Yeah, that was a surprise of the year for me for like kind of horror because you're not quite sure by the trailer, but it executes it pretty well. I think if we had an honorable to be right on that cusp,
sure, yeah.
But I do enjoy it. So that was a good one for your number 10. Coming in for me, I talked about this the other day in the draft. The Ring, I'm gonna have in my number 10 with Naomi Watts here. Another adaptation from. Is it just Japan, or where's the other one?
Yeah, no, Ringu from 1998 is Japan, and then after the success of The Ring, we got a glut of early 2000s J-horror remakes, because then you had The Grudge, you had Shudder, One Missed Call, you had Pulse, you had all these remakes, most of which were pretty bad, as you might see on our bad remakes tournament.
Yeah, and I'll be there too. I forgot I was on that, by the way.
So there are a lot of those Japanese ones on there because they're pretty bad. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure everything you just mentioned is not on my list, honorable or main. But this one is here, man. I mean, great leading lady here. This is the perfect kind of PG-13 movie because you don't have to be bloody. This is all about just 7 days, the phone call, the beginning scene, her trying to save the kid after he accidentally sees it here. The tape itself, it's mostly not bloody, just creepy as hell. All the images that they show you, So I execute very well. Gore Verbinski, who go on to do like Pirates films, directed this.
I like this movie. I don't love this movie. I kind of prefer, this is one where I do prefer Ringu. Actually, I think they do. It's a little bit shorter. To me, it has a really good open, some really good atmosphere, and a good strong ending. To me, there's like one too many. It's like 2 hours and 10 minutes or something. It's kind of a long movie for a horror.
It's definitely a journey.
Yeah. I think there's, for me personally, just one too many like research scenes, like sitting in a place, researching, in a library, and I'm like, okay, can we just like get on with it a little bit? Like, I don't think the movie's badly made. It's very well done by Gore Verbinski, and I will watch it if it's on. I'm just more of a Ringu guy when it comes to the actual movie. I'm not a huge J-horror guy in general, but like I do like Ringu and stuff like that. But it's still a good movie. I figured you might bring it up though, because I know you're a fan of The Ring. So
I dig it.
It's still a good pick. I'll go with number 9. I'll tread some water. We did with another countdown. I'll say Split for my number 9. I know we talked about it a little bit on our Shyamalan thing, but I think Split works quite well. Is again kind of another horror thriller and kind of an abduction story. These girls get abducted by this guy with these multiple personalities, played brilliantly by James McAvoy, and I think we even advocated for on Rankum those horror performances that I think could have had those outside shots to get Oscar nominations, I would have advocated for James McAvoy in these movies. I think he's great. The way he balances all the personalities. There's even scenes where he's playing a personality, playing another personality. So it's like a completely layered performance. He's really, really good, but it's really nice and creepy. You don't kind of know where it's going, especially when he gets to the beast stuff. And obviously, it's kind of a spoiler alert, but obviously everybody knows that it led into the Unbreakable universe, and connected with the glass film. I mean, they made a movie about it, so it's not like it's a secret anymore. They followed up on it, made
What?
Yeah. But yeah, I still think it's a really good kind of horror thriller. There's some creepy vibes here, and when the beast actually comes out, I think it is a very threatening and good. So again, another thing where you don't have to rely on big kills and body counts. It can just be a nice kind of smaller creepy movie, and I think Shyamalan does really well when he keeps it kind of contained, a little bit smaller. I like Knock at the Cabin a lot this year that he made. It was just a smaller, more contained movie where he's not trying to be too big and too broad and get a little big for his britches, as my dad would say. So I like Split, so I'll go with Split for number 9. JPO.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Maybe I'll talk about it later. But what we will do is we'll just keep talking about M. Night Shyamalan, because I have Signs. You mentioned before as an honorable mention. Maybe the king of PG-13 horror. Not to spoil the list later on, but like this dude knows how to make a good PG-13 horror.
I might have one more Shyamalan movie on my list. Maybe.
Spoiler. But this guy. You know what I mean? Yeah. Even things that aren't on my list. I do enjoy The Village. You said Knock at the Cabin. Not a bad one. So like and as for this one, Signs, like you said, just it's all about that build up. It's that that when he sees the first sign on the video, it's the floorboard knife thing. It's build up, it's creepiness. Of course, Joaquin Phoenix would later on become one of the best actors of our generation. He's great in this here. There's even like the M. Night Shyamalan, maybe his best acting role here. He's very good at like selling like he just saw something. You know what I mean? Like, and you don't know what he saw yet until finally Gibson goes over there. And just a fun one here. Young Abigail Breslin too. Oh, there she is. Hey, I say her and she appears.
Kieran Culkin, right? Is that Kieran in there? Yeah.
When the Culkin. Yeah. So the good kid actors too that are still rocking to today. And the good M. Night Shyamalan movie. And not the last time we'll probably mention.
Yeah, no, it definitely won't be the last time I mention. I think I'll have one more I'll talk about for him later. But we'll jump into my number 8. Let's go Sam Raimi. A Little Less Blood with Drag Me to Hell for number 8. Drag Me to Hell was a really nice surprise, because when you heard that Sam Raimi was jumping back into horror, kind of right after he had done these, obviously he did the Spider-Man trilogy, so he kind of moved on to bigger and better things. But it was cool they let him, because of the success of those movies, give him a little budget. Hey, make a little horror movie, whatever you want to do. And I think he had a lot of fun with this one. Again, knowing his audience, knowing the fans he had probably picked up from the Spider-Man movies, he couldn't go full Evil Dead, and kind of blow everybody away. And he had already made those movies, so it's like it's not like he needed to go do a copy, but there are definitely Evil Dead vibes here as far as some of the humor that gets in there, a couple of the gross out moments, some of the stuff with like the eyeballs in the food and things like that, and there's definitely some gross out stuff. Alison Lohman here gets a couple of moments where she gets to be a little badass, but it goes more for sort of the paranormal stuff and the curse that she gets put on her and things that happen, and kind of another countdown thing aspect, which I like. She's much like The Ring. She's got like a couple of days to get rid of it, or it's gonna come up up on her. So she's got to kind of.
It was a good ticking clock scenario.
Yeah, you gotta have a ticking. Yeah, sometimes it's good to have like a ticking clock kind of in the background, a sense of panic, like The Ring with the 1 week thing, to figure out what's going on and try to get rid of it. And a hell of an ending that, let's just say the title is might be a spoiler for what actually happens.
Yeah, a bit of a balls ending that you think they're not going to
really definitely a ballsy ending, but at the same time, he tells you right there in the title.
Yeah,
so it's you can't.
You almost just assume PG-13 horror that she's gonna walk away lickety splickety, but
no, but it's really good. Yeah, Justin Long's really good in this movie. There's the guy, I forget his name. Yeah, from Inception and Avatar. Is in there. Yeah, he kind of had a little run there. But yeah, really good. Fun stuff.
I feel like that dude had 3 years where he was hot.
Oh yeah, he had a couple of years where he was in like everything, and then he kind of dropped off for a little while. He moved on to TV, but yeah, this is a good one if you haven't gone to see it. If you like the Evil Dead movies, yeah, for sure, it's still got got some of those vibes in there. Again, that kind of dark humor. It's a lot of fun. A couple even comedic moments thrown in here and there. So yeah, Drag Me to Hell is a really good hidden gem there if you haven't seen it.
No, very nice. Yeah, it's been a minute, but I do remember enjoying it. So good, definitely good pick there. One I'm not surprised to see pops up. My number 8, a little bit of a special pick to me. Horror, and you love musicals. Little Shop of Horrors.
I actually watched it not too long ago. Little Shop of Horrors. It's been a long time. It's on HBO Max or Max if you like to be all fancy now.
That's just the name.
I watched it. I had a good time with it. It's a fun little movie.
No, it is. I think Little Shop is a perfect play as like it zips along. You know what I mean? Like Downtown maybe is like the longest song. Everything else kind of really just zips very quickly here. Great cameos too, Candy, Martin, and it's a good one too that like translates to screen too. You know what I mean? Like I don't think you ever really feel like it could be bigger because it is kind of a smaller play. Like it works perfect for stage, it works perfect for a movie here, and so something that's near and dear to my heart because I was Mushnick in high school, so I actually performed this play. We were lucky to have a real like Audrey 2 from like a real play.
Oh, wow.
Like sorry, it wasn't a little shitty thing. Like we had like a real like this was on like Broadway Audrey 2. We lucked out. So like I was eaten every night by like a really cool looking real giant ass Audrey 2.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that's really cool because one of the things I did like going back to it was just the puppetry work with Audrey too. I think it's the Henson Company, making Muppets and Puppets, and that's one of the things I love about those '80s movies is it's right there for you to see. It's not like a CGI.
You believe you're invested. You believe it. Yeah.
You do because he's hooked. He physically touches Rick Moranis. He's grabbing him. People are going into his mouth. It's right there to see. It's one thing I really like, and he gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and I like that aspect of it. And yeah, the comedic moments really work, and the songs I think are catchy enough for if you're not a huge musical fan, I think they still work really well. And
please a little big I was about to end recording. No, just stop sharing. You think I would get used to these buttons by now?
Yeah, right.
Please, if you do a remake, and I'm not even against that, just because I want more people to see this tale, fucking make it a puppet. And please don't CGI it. And they're going to CGI it, but
well, and that was the studio thing. If you remember that Thing prequel that came out in 2011 with like Mary Elizabeth Winstead, they actually did a lot of practical effects in that one, throwing back to the original, trying to make it feel like the other one. And the studio interfered and put a bunch of garbled CGI in there and kind of ruined it. And it's like, no, they went out of their way to do the practical stuff. Let them do the practical stuff to make it feel like a follow up to the other one. Like if they're gonna do practical, let them do practical, man. I miss that stuff. Let them do real stuff. I like
and you'd be surprised. It's sadly not the only time. I believe there is test footage of I Am Legend having practicals. Right. There's even one of the Percy Jackson films. They showed like one of they had like a Mantar kind of like beast, and it looks cool. But they just in the end were like, nah, let's just clobber it over with CGI. Yeah. And I don't know. I don't know. It sucks me out. Maybe it's a cost saver. I don't know.
No, there are those guys like Guillermo del Toro, and as much as I'm not a huge fan of his movies overall, I know he at least appreciates that. So if you look at something like Pan's Labyrinth, they're all like real guys and makeup and suits and big giant monsters.
I love Hellboy too, because like when there's like they're in like the market, everything is alive.
All real. Yes,
you buy that world exists. You buy that world exists.
No, I can at least appreciate that. Even if I'm not high on the movie, I can go back and appreciate that aspect. And he's definitely a fan of those types of movies from back then.
Maybe I'm overrating it just because I feel like it was such a breath of fresh air when I saw it. I was like,
I'm okay with that. I believe this. So yeah, no, it sounds good. No, Little Shop of Horrors definitely holds up. It's a fun little movie. I'll go to number 7 and go with maybe my first of 2 found footage horror films. So I'll go with Trollhunter from Norway in 2010. I'm a big fan of Trollhunter. I've always kind of championed this movie. Like I said, it's from Norway. It's kind of you follow these 2 journalists who team up with this guy who claims to be a troll hunter working for the Norwegian government. And he literally goes and hunts and destroys trolls out in the wilderness. And it's just really fascinating because not only are the actual troll effects and a lot of the sequences very thrilling and very well done, but the actual mythology surrounding the trolls is just really fun. Like you could just hang out with this guy and him telling sort of how they work, all the things about, it's like they ultraviolet light hurts them, and they, there are different types of ones. The ones that like live in the mountains, they eat rocks. He has this troll stench he rubs on him to hide his scent. It's like a piece of a troll that he rubs all over himself, and that there's things about their blood, and how there's even goofy stuff with the trolls about how they can smell if you're a Christian, if you believe in God. So you have to be an atheist to be a troll hunter. It's all this weird, old mythical stuff about these creatures, but when you actually get into it, like I said, it has that kind of aspect. It's got that found footage aspect. It's done really well. You never get nauseous or anything like that, and it slowly amps up. They're going after some smaller ones, and then a bigger one that's kind of the size of a mountain. But it's really, really cool. It's directed by a guy named I hope I pronounced his name right, but it's like Andres Overdahl, something like that. He's got those goofy Norway like letters in his name, so I'm not sure exactly how you say it. Oh, and the slash. But he directed this. He directed The Autopsy of Jane Doe, and he's directing the upcoming movie here in August, The Last Voyage of the Demeter.
Okay.
I think, that kind of other Dracula movie we're getting this year. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that because I think the dude's a really solid director, and he does well with this kind of smaller horror movie. So, but yeah, Trollhunter, it's a great sort of horror fantasy kind of movie. If you haven't seen it, I really recommend it. I think it's on Prime, and I've championed it any chance I can, like on tournament fights or anything like that. So, I'm a big fan of Trollhunter.
Yeah, that is a blind spot for me here. I have been kind of interested though. It's definitely something that has come across me. Might have even heard you talk about it, to be honest. But I like the trailer. I like how the
I got to see it in a theater. Actually, there was a local art house theater that did kind of a pseudo premiere during this film festival. And I remember seeing the trailer and just thought it looked cool because it kind of looked like Cloverfield a little bit, in kind of a way. But yeah, and I got to see it in the theater, which definitely helps if you can crank up the sound, and then kind of get into it. But even then, crank up the sound on the big screen and it works really well. But yeah, I definitely recommend it, man, for sure. Check it out.
Nice. Going into a Stephen King adaptation. We're talking about 1408 for me here, coming in at number 7 here. Kind of like we mentioned before, almost kind of like a one location film. John Cusack has written some novels here, and he's sent to this hotel run by Samuel L. Jackson, who's really fun. Whenever he pops up, he's been popping up in like a mini fridge at different times to kind of guide along John Cusack here. And like I said, it very much lays on Cusack's performance here. I think he's great. Like, he's one of those guys that unfortunately has kind of just done weird direct-to-DVD movies recently here, but he's really great in this here. And there's more backstory about him and what he's gone through. And I dug it all the way to the very end. There's even got a fun little spoiler warning here. One of my favorite, like, okay, we're all done. No, we're not kind of endings, But I think they pulled it off very well. Yeah. I like how they pulled it off in here, where you probably like you're kind of breathing for a minute, and then the revelation I think is well done. And it's creepy. It's well made. You can see how it would also probably be good on paper. I don't know. I'm not going to read it. It's a movie. But I think the movie here always have 1408, Cusack and Sam Jackson. Don't watch the other movie on a Stephen King movie. Cell with Sam Jackson and Cusack. That is a bad movie.
Yes, it certainly is. And I'll save my thoughts on this because it might be higher on my list. Well, number 6, oddly enough, I didn't really plan it this way until I looked back on my list, but my number 6 is The Sixth Sense. Will be my number 6, that other Shyamalan movie I was alluding to. Yeah, I mean, when you think about it, Shyamalan might be one of the kings of PG-13 horror, really kind of setting up those atmospheric movies and really great build up. And especially these early films, man, he got just really great actors, really laying down some good character work here. Obviously everybody kind of knows about the twist and stuff, but if you didn't know that going in, it still really, really works. Bruce Willis, man, really one of his best performances ever. He doesn't get enough credit for this movie. Kind of everybody talks about Haley Joel Osment in this movie here, but Bruce Willis really is kind of the anchor of the film that really works, and just him listening, he does really great stuff here. Early Toni Collette, I mean, everybody talks about Hereditary, but she's great in this movie as well, doing some early horror stuff. A lot younger than I thought she was when she did this movie. She's like in her late 20s or something. They kind of age her up in this movie to make her look a little older. But yeah, really, really good. Creepy vibes here. I mean, there's those scenes like when he gets locked in that kind of attic thing, and it's just sound design. You just hear kind of what's going on inside of there, and it's more left to your imagination, but sometimes that's a little more terrifying of what you think is going on. But some good, again, practical effects with some of the ghosts, the kid who's got, his head blown out from the gunshot and things, and the girl kind of spitting up the oatmeal food, all that kind of sequence. And good minimalism, making use of the build up here with all the ghosts and things, but also kind of turning it around and making kind of a redemption story and making it good to where he's helping them out. So yeah, really great horror movie. People kind of it's almost overlooked, and we talked about this on the Shyamalan show because I wanted to see where I ranked these when I did that show. It's almost gotten to the point where it's almost underrated because people kind of forget about it, and it's like, no, this movie was a big hit and it was really, really good.
There's a reason, man,
and it's still really, really good. So yeah, number 6 would be The Sixth Sense.
Nah, for sure. No, that's a fantastic pick there. I don't think you're a big fan of my number 6, so don't make fun of me.
It's okay.
Tremors.
Oh, right. That little movie.
The little movie that came out during the greatest year.
The little
of all
movie
time.
I might talk about much later in this list.
Yeah, I would imagine it would probably be very weird if you didn't have
sure.
it. 1990, greatest year of all time, the year I was born. But I remember this was very much. It's just a fun flick, man. This is very much like a kind of a pretty frequent like library rental for like me and my dad, or if it ever was on Sci-Fi, you know what I mean, that the whole family can enjoy here. Great cast. I wish we could. Michael Gross still says, he never saw Burt Gummer die in that last one, so maybe there's hope.
Yeah, at the same time, it's like, I mean, you made like 7 of them, so where do we go from here?
Yeah, but if we get Bacon back,
well, I mean, they had that pilot. There's a trailer online where Kevin Bacon actually filmed a pilot where he came back and played Val. They were going to do a Tremors pilot set in perfection, and really a throwback to the original. He had the cowboy hat and everything, and they filmed the pilot, and it never got picked up. I was so mad that they were going to.
I've never seen that, so that's crazy.
TV adaptation. After we go off the air, man, pull it up. It's really cool.
Yeah, no, for sure. No, yeah, because
they did Tremors the series for one season. It was Michael Gross, Christopher Lloyd, a couple other guys in there.
Christopher Lloyd's in the show?
He's in the show, absolutely, yeah. And it's kind of like more of an anthology sort of thing where it's Michael Gross going around and dealing with different, creature problems here and there, yada yada yada. But yeah, Kevin Bacon actually filmed the pilot where he was going to play Val back in perfection, a really good throwback, and it looked like the original movie and all that. But yeah, I mean, obviously. I'll talk about Tremors later, not alluding to where my list might go here, but I'll let you talk about it now, and I'll talk about it later, for sure.
No, man, no. I think you can go more into depth than I could, man. Just a really fun one that I've always enjoyed, catching up with every few years. It's been a couple years now, even something I could probably throw on tonight and have a good time with here. There's a reason, even Michael Gross, he's really great in the first one, too. I think there's a reason why people are able to keep they're able to keep him around, and he does shine in the first one, I think, as well. So, Tremors was my number 6, and we're the top half of the bracket now.
Top 5. All right, well, 5, I'll go to my other found footage movie that I'll allude to, and I kind of mentioned, I'll go to Cloverfield. Let's talk about Cloverfield, which is a movie, again, I'm a big fan of. One of my great theater experiences, JPO, of all time. I remember going with my buddy Dagan Briggs, who you might know from the Florida Wrestling. Hey, we used to go see a lot of movies together back in Jacksonville, best buddies. And we went and saw the midnight show of this when it came out. We were both really hyped on it. And man, one of the great kind of midnight theater experiences ever, man. The sound was cranking. Those attack scenes just really hit dead on. I'm a big sort of kaiju Godzilla fan, so this was right up my alley. Just kind of a big. I mean, it's a better Godzilla movie than the '98 Roland Emmerich Godzilla movie in New York City. You know what I mean? Godzilla in New York just does it way better.
And a great marketing campaign too, where you're like, "Is it Godzilla? Like, what are we watching?"
Because
great marketing.
And it might be even this. One of these trailers just said from producer J.J. Abrams. It didn't have the title. It didn't even have a title for a long time.
Yeah, it was great. Unique
this
marketing.
New project. Yeah, you just saw that Statue of Liberty thing, and it was pretty cool. It got you intrigued. But yeah, when it actually gets to it, the actual attack scenes are really tense and really well done. You got T.J. Miller behind the camera, kind of running around, joking around, but running around with their friends. And
people forget that. That's definitely been a past ASAP question.
Oh yeah, for sure. Oh, it's T.J. Miller for sure. You see him a couple of times.
Oh no, you see him in the mirror. You do see him for sure. People forget,
Yeah, but it's them kind of. There is sort of a countdown aspect to it. The main guy has his girlfriend's kind of trapped in a building that's collapsing, and she's got a piece of rebar through and things like that. They got to get to her. Going through subways, and a couple of smaller creatures break off from the big creature. Eat a little twist there, and they're running around, kind of attacking people. And I mean, and you finally get to kind of see the creature after a long build up and time to deal with it. Yeah, people forget this is Matt Reeves who directed The Batman and directed Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. So it's actually really well directed, really well done. His early movie. And I'm a big fan of this. I don't love every found footage horror movie. I do like the genre a lot. I do champion a good amount of them. But I think this is a prime example of what you can do with it and how it can really work. Which as far as that kind of that tension and that state of panic that you can feel, if you're running around kind of in a crazy situation. So yeah, I'm a big fan of Cloverfield, man. I really dig it.
And then that was that first trailer too. If you go back and watch that trailer, that was the one that just said
J.J. Abrams.
From J.J. Abrams, and then like a brief Bad Robots, written by, directed by.
Well, there was even a time there where everybody
is.
was like guessing, because then 10 Cloverfield Lane came out and it was kind of a spin-off, and then even Super 8, people were like, is this a Cloverfield movie? Is this like Little Cloverfield in the train? Because it was J.J. Abrams producing that one as well and doing that. So
he directed that one, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So it was like a thing where people were guessing if it was like a Cloverfield movie, and then we had the Cloverfield Paradox, and even now it's like, it's become this own little weird universe of like, can we do another one? Can we do? I don't know. There's never really been like a straight sequel, but there's always kind of dancing around it. But I think you could do a sequel eventually, even if you wanted to. But yeah,
yeah, why not?
It's a lot of fun.
Why not?
What do you got for number? What's your top five gonna kick
It's coming into five. It's the M. Night Shyamalan show. I got to talk about Split now real quick.
I know. I didn't intend for that when I hit this topic for us to hit some of the same movies we hit on our Shyamalan countdown, but it just kind of worked out that way because he's made some banger PG-13 movies,
it fits the category, and they're good. They're some of my favorites here. I still may not be done talking about him after even Split here, but no, you set the pace very well here before. Even more kudos too later on, finding out that like McAvoy didn't have this role for long. Like he was a replacement or like semi-last minute kind of guy, which gives you even more kudos to him because he is what brings this film to that next level here. It is Oscar worthy in a horror film because, you believe him as this trapped little kid. You believe him as this uptight woman. You believe him as this monster even in the end, and everything in between here. Anya Taylor-Joy, who would, of course, go out to, she's broken out in the last few years as well. So yeah, this thing it very much works. Very much keeps you intrigued. Is there fantastical elements outside of the personalities, as you kind of get that revelation going. And then, of course, the fun little Unbreakable thing at the end, oh, shit, now it's connected, I'm not a big Glass fan, but definitely never going to hold it against Split because I think pretty much everything in here does work pretty dang well here. Has some good brave decisions as well. Not everyone totally makes it out. So, really good, well directed, well paced, greatly acted. Split at number 5.
No, I think this is one also because it came after The Visit, after kind of Shyamalan had fallen off for a little while.
Yeah, another PG-13 horror.
Another little fun, like, sort of found footage thing, and then you did Split, and people were like, was Split actually like really, really good? Is it even better than like Sixth Sense? Like some people were talking about that, and it's like, is he back? And I'm like, yeah, I think he works when he's, like I said, doing these kind of smaller movies, these little more contained movies. He's not trying to, set the world on fire or something. But yeah, it was a nice surprise. I remember for January being like, oh, well, because you go, January, Shyamalan, maybe it's not very good. It ended up being great. Yeah, and really, really good. Same with Knock at the Cabin this year, coming out really, really early in the year in February, and kind of really blowing me away. So yeah, no. Shyamalan, man, I'm always rooting for the guy, man. I still like him.
No, for sure, man. When it works, it works. I think he definitely has more good than bad,
Yeah, for sure. So I'll kick off my number 4, and I'll go back to the 80s here and practical effects and kind of low budget, but it works really well. Killer Klowns from Outer Space is going to be my number 4.
It's Klowns with a K.
Yeah, Clowns with a K. That's right. So. Killer Klowns with a K from Outer Space. 1986, again, another great year for movies, as I've talked to with Aliens. But yeah, this is another great example of horror that mixes in a little bit of comedy. It doesn't have a huge budget. I think they made this for like $500,000 or something like that, but for what they do, they really make it stand out as far as the art design. The character designs are creepy. The actual big giant sort of clowns are like oversized clowns in this movie, as you'll kind of see in this trailer here if you've never seen it. But really cool sort of kills. They repurposed, I family said they repurposed these clown suits for Ernest Scared Stupid. The goblins at the end are actually the repurposed Killer Klowns from Outer Space costumes, just decolored or whatever. But really fun kills here. Yeah, they do cool stuff with like shadow puppets, and they've got popcorn guns, and they put people in cotton candy cocoons, and they do a really good job of really kind of having some sort of disturbing stuff with these clowns, but at the same time, again, having that really dark, sort of twisted circus sense of humor. Yeah, you saw John Vernon in there. Is fun. He's kind of a veteran guy, from Animal House and things. Always plays a good asshole. He plays like sort of the police captain running around the town, and but it follows a small group of people as these clowns kind of invade and take over the small town. But it's really, really cool. If you haven't seen it, I think it looks great on Blu-ray because of the colors. Like again, great art design. and set design here for what they had in mind. They've always talked about a sequel. That's never really happened with the Kyoto brothers making a sequel. The Return of the Killer Clowns from Outer Space, but it's never really come to fruition. But it's gotten so popular that it's even had at Universal Studios at Halloween Horror Nights. It's had houses at Halloween Horror Nights, which definitely says something about the actual movie. It's not even a franchise, but
I think it will happen because this is something that I'll admit it's a blind spot. I almost started it like a couple weeks ago and just something happened, but the fact that it is. It's 80 something, as you said, that it has still talked about, that it has come across me, that it has been said something to watch. No, I think it shows. And like you said, that Halloween Horror Nights shows that there's a fan base out there. So
where do you find great horror movies online, JPO? Tubi, baby. Tubi, baby. Of course it is. Yeah, why wouldn't it?
I mean, there is Shudder, which is what it's made for, but Tubi.
No, I think it was on Shudder for a little while. It's on Paramount Plus. It's on several services, but
like I said, I know I had it. Like I said, I'm pretty sure I clicked it and then just I either fell asleep or something happened.
If you haven't, this would be a good upcoming for Halloween or something, man. Throw this one on. It's like 90 minutes. It's a quick watch. And
honestly too, I don't think I've ever seen that trailer. That trailer won me over, and your description and seeing some of the potential kills. It only helped it. So
ton of fun, man. So let's jump into your number 4.
Continuing kind of the fun PG-13 horror films. You actually did mention, I believe, as an honorable Happy Death Day. I absolutely love the first one here. The second one, I almost don't know if I would even include as a horror.
I almost think
more
it's
sci-fi.
Kind of a sci-fi movie. Yeah,
it is
sci-fi because it really puts the horror on the back burner, and the killer's kind of an afterthought in that movie. Yeah,
it very much is. Yeah, there's long sequences where it's like, oh yeah, and then there's a killer, but we got to figure out this portal thingy or whatever. Yeah. But the first one is very much a fun. It's Groundhog Day horror, and we've had a lot of great Groundhog Day movies these last few years. If you want a Groundhog Day action, there's that movie with Frank Grillo on Hulu, that Boss Level that I enjoy. Yeah. Palm Springs, if you want an R-rated Groundhog Day, that's it. And now this is your horror Groundhog Day. It's absolutely worth it. I want to say the dude's Christopher Landon, who also did Freaky, so he kind of knows how to balance that level here. And great leading lady as well, because then you kind of go from Jessica Rotha's tree from she's not the greatest human being at first, but you really get to love her by the end of it here. And I had a lot of fun with it here. It definitely worked. And it's also one of those kind of word of mouth movies that I don't feel like it made a lot of money, and the sequel was kind of iffy, but then it just kind of kept building, on VOD, on DVD, and everything. So to where we got the second, and now people still kind of hope for a third, even though the second one I think also in box office wise didn't light the world on fire.
Yeah, but I think at the same time it didn't have a huge budget either. I think it was a pretty modestly budgeted film.
To where even if it got close, and I said, we have no idea what it made on streaming and DVD disc and everything. So where the sequel still might happen here, but this first one's a lot of fun here. So
I remember going to see that in the theaters that opening night on Thursday, and it being one of the big pleasant surprises of that year. Yeah, because I thought the trailer, I was like, this could either be pretty good or pretty bad.
Yeah, you're not sold for sure.
Yeah, and then to see it, and I think it was kind of a little bit of self-awareness. And one of the aspects I really like of that movie, JPO, is that when she sustains injuries, she wakes up the next day and her head really hurts if she gets hit in the head with a bat,
feels it.
She's got a post concussion sort of a thing going on. She's sore. I like that aspect.
Yeah, it adds another level of okay, she can't just be dumb. It's not like Groundhog Day where it's I'll go run into a tree and nothing happens. It's the opposite of that. It's no, I kind of have to really figure this out, because if not, I'm going to end up dying in a different way.
Yeah, maybe. But then she gets into stuff with her dad, using the opportunity of the day to kind of see her dad again every day and really get to know her parents even better, at that lunch that they have. It really dives into the character. I really like it. So, my number 3 is a movie you already talked about. That would be 1408 with John Cusack. Yeah, I have this one on my list as well. Yeah, because this is a great one, man. And as you know, I'm a big fan of the One Crazy Night movies and the One Location movies. Both those kind of subgenres. This one hits them both and does them very, very well. Because it's just mostly John Cusack kind of locked in this hotel room, and it manages to use the setting the way it's even shot to kind of keep exploring the space, continually kind of throughout it, because he's trying to crawl through windows, he's trying to go through the vents, find his way out. They keep messing with him in different aspects with the bathroom and that alarm clock. Speaking of Groundhog's Day, that alarm clock keep going off, playing the music over and over again. It's kind of a nod, I'm sure, to Groundhog Day. But again, there's a countdown aspect, because they say that nobody's lasted an hour, so you have almost in real time, an hour. He checks in the hotel about 30 minutes into the movie, and it's only about a 90-minute movie. So, you're like, all right, it's almost in real time here going through the hour. And it's really, really good the way it kind of amps up. And yeah, the stuff that he sees, him having the recorder is nice because then he can actually talk audibly. It's a nice little convention that he's an author. So he's going to, talk about his experience.
Yeah, it also makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense for him to be talking out loud, not just being in a room talking to yourself. Like, that would be kind of silly. But it makes sense. He's documenting his adventure here in this hotel room. And yeah, Sam Jackson kind of gives it a nice gravitas of the warnings about the room, and it really gives it a weight to it that he's really in some kind of danger here. But yeah, I've always championed this movie, man. I think it's really, really great, and it's one of the best uses of PG-13 horror ever that can be creepy without being overly gory or bloody or anything like that. Just a nice movie that keeps changing up the aspects and keeps you guessing, man. I really like it.
No, for sure, man. Even like the trailer is really well done here too. This shows, like you said, like they do a really good job of having a one space, but then going bonkers with it, man. From him trying to escape to him in the attic to him, you know what I mean? All sorts of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure, man. So we're getting down to it, man. What's your number 3? Top 3
we
here.
Are. You another one that you did mention in a honorable mention. I absolutely love it. 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Oh yeah, man.
You got the first Cloverfield. Maybe one of the reasons I mentioned not as high in the first Cloverfield, didn't see it in theaters, so that might have helped.
I think it might have helped if you saw it in theaters. Yeah, it really.
No, I could see that for sure because it's definitely a big screen movie here. This is one I actually did see in theaters. And yeah, I love the tale here. Mary Elizabeth Winstead and John Gallagher are trapped by John Goodman, who says there's a reason, there's something outside and they cannot go outside, and he's doing it to save them, protect them, and he seems crazy, and again, won't spoil it if you haven't seen it. Maybe he's not totally crazy, you know what I mean?
Maybe
but
not, yeah.
But again, man, like John Goodman, man, whenever, and this is a cool side of John Goodman, because I was gonna say something like Flight, or even
Argo,
Big Lebowski, Argo.
Yeah, but this is like creepy, like really.
This is creepy,
and
like
using his size. Like some people don't use. Like he's a big guy.
Yeah,
like,
he's
intimidating physically.
Good casting. Mary Elizabeth Winstead was a smaller girl, and Gallagher's I think hurt for a chunk of it. You know what I mean? And he's great too. I want to see more John Gallagher because between this and like Short Term 12, which is a recent watch of mine, I'm like, this dude's really some good stuff too. But yeah, I just really dug it here, man. Even the end, it's kind of interesting where they take it Cloverfield wise, but I love the journey to it though. Is my favorite part is the Goodman parts here, even when like he's kind of trying to be nice, but it's just still kind of like creepy and like one of those like when like it's a party you can't leave.
I'll be nice, but only to a degree.
They're just saying that because they're afraid he's gonna kill him.
No, and this was Dan Trachtenberg's debut, and it really put me on my radar. I was like, who is this Dan Trachtenberg guy directing this really good thriller? And then he didn't direct anything until Prey recently was his first follow-up. But man, he had a hell of a follow-up with Prey, that Predator movie that everybody seemed to love. So he's definitely on my radar now as far as like, hey man, Trachtenberg, show me what you got, man. I'm all in with you, man. So keep it coming. Give me what you got.
Keep it going, Trachty.
Yeah, Trachty, keep it up. So all right, man. Well, I'll dive back into some more comedy, but definitely comedy horror. I'll go number 2, another one of my favorites of all time, Gremlins 2, the new batch. I had to throw it on here. Love me some Gremlins 2. Yeah, I don't even have the original one here. I like the original one a lot, but man, the sequel for me is just I think one of the most entertaining movies of all time. Like, it's just so bonkers crazy, so much anarchy. You can pick up something new every time you watch it. It's Joe Dante being at the time kind of pressured into doing a Gremlins follow-up because the first one was a big hit, and Spielberg had produced it, and they begged him for years to do a follow-up to Gremlins, but he was like, man, that movie was so hard just to make physically because it's a lot of practical puppet work, and you need a ton of puppeteers, you need all these different designs and all this stuff, and they were like, hey, we'll give you whatever you want, make it a big budget, do whatever you want to do, we'll give you full creative control. And he goes like, full creative control? And he took it and he ran with it because, man, this movie had screamed full creative control, but in the best way, where he's just like, I'm going to throw every kind of gremlin you can have in here. Yeah, vegetable gremlins, a gothic, gargoyle gremlin, a spider gremlin, an electric gremlin, all kinds of crazy stuff here. One that talks with the voice of Tony Randall. I mean, you've even got Leonard Maltin having a cameo reviewing the original Gremlins film within this movie. You got, this office building setting where they get trapped in, which is cool, taking it to the big city. but having this aspect of like the smart building, so it's kind of ahead of its time. You got all this smart technology throughout the thing, going kind of bonkers and crazy, but bringing everybody back for the first movie, and then John Glover really standing out as Clamp, this kind of super rich, kind of aloof billionaire guy, running this thing. But man, if you haven't seen it, I can't recommend it enough, man. It's so much fun. In the last 45 minutes or an hour, so many great nods to other horror movies and sci-fi movies, and great character acting sprinkling here. Christopher Lee's even in here, all kinds of great people thrown in here. It's a ton of fun, man. I really love Gremlins too. Yeah. So yeah.
Can you be quiet for me?
It's quiet.
My number 2 is A Quiet Place.
Okay, be quiet. Whisper a review.
From the year 2018. Okay, we're in a waterfall. Okay, we can talk more now.
We're next to the river. It's fine. Go ahead and talk.
People think it's not Krasinski's debut, but it is his second film. Definitely easily his biggest film. And what a way to really kind of come out and show what's up. Also helped writing it here. Just about family trying to survive this post-apocalypse. Not apocalypse, not the right word, but these aliens have attacked, and then there would sound
invasion or something, whatever
invasion, however you want to put it. Yeah, and apocalypse is not the right word, but it's close because a lot of people are gone, a lot of people are dead, and it's about family trying to hold on, and they got this kind of little farming. They got a great little setup. Once they're able to set up, with the lights and everything. The one daughter is deaf here. She gives a great performance too. The son, Noah Jupe, has gone on to be in Honey Boy and Ford v. Ferrari. He's a very common kid actor as well here. And it's gripping. It's scary. I love the family element. The end is both scary and heartbreaking. There's also the something of her giving birth, trying to be quiet and giving birth, trying to save both her and her baby's life. And it's a cool little setup here. It borrows a little bit from a couple different things here, but I never mind that when you do it so exceptionally well. Sure. So one of my favorite films of that year, in my top 5 of that year, and this is my top 5, my number 2 of PG-13 horror flicks, and the sequel's pretty decent too. I don't mind that sequel either.
Yeah, no, it's a good movie. I just don't have it on my list because I think it worked for me better in the theaters than it does at home.
Okay.
I remember having a great theater experience. Where when we saw it in the theaters, I remember, and it was kind of a phenomenon that happened with this movie. Everybody, once you get going, it's like they almost don't even want to crunch their popcorn or open. You're in it. You're almost being as quiet. You're tempering your breathing. You're trying to be as quiet as the characters because it's such a silent film for the most part, other than a few spats of dialogue here and there, in the basement and stuff. And then I remember I tried to rewatch it again at home and just didn't have that same vibe. I
could see that. I do think it's never as gripping after that first watch, but I don't know. Sometimes I'll try to remember that high whenever I do listen to stuff like that, because I'm like, I can't hold that against it though, man. I walked out so fulfilled more than a lot of movies I see. So
I don't fault anybody for having it on the list or anything. It's a really very well done movie. It's excellent. It's just I've never been able to recreate that experience from it just personally, but it's still a very, very good movie. Yeah, for sure. Well, I had to do it, JPO. Anybody that knows me knows I loves the Tremors. And so pull up that Tremors trailer again.
Which one, though? I think they're all PG-13, aren't they?
Most of them. Actually, part 3 is only PG, and then I think they jumped back to PG-13. But no, the original Tremors, PG-13. I think one of the greatest sort of monster movies ever made. Ron Underwood directing here. You can tell is a big fan of those old kind of 50s monster movies, but really coming up with something pretty clever here. Sort of a floor is lava, sort of concept where, it's another kind of sound thing and vibrations, and you can't run on the ground, so the characters got to get a little creative. They got to learn very, very quickly. What really makes this movie is not only again, we talked about practical effects. So there's a lot of practical creature work in this thing, practical tentacles, practical, actual monsters coming out. But again, it doesn't have to get too gory. It's just a scary enough concept. You can kind of pulled under the ground, to die. It's pretty horrifying in itself. But the character work is what really makes this movie. I think it's really kind of a, we talked about these perfect movies, and it's not that they're perfect and that there's no flaws whatsoever, but I mean these perfect movies and what they're trying to do. And to me, it's a really perfect movie as far as it perfectly sets up this group of characters, this location, this isolation. So it makes it to where they can't really get out very easily. There's challenges they have to overcome. And again, the characters learn and adapt and make smart decisions throughout the movie, and they really figure things out. And the chemistry between Fred Ward, rest in peace, Fred Ward, miss you already, buddy. Fred Ward and Kevin Bacon here. it really plays like a buddy movie, and they have really good chemistry. You could almost watch a whole movie of just these guys running around being these handymen in this town, like a comedy. You know, I mean, it even just works on that aspect to where the stuff with the monsters is just an added bonus. And yeah, every character is great. Michael Gross is amazing with Reba as these survivors, and one of my favorite just movie scenes of all time in cinema, where it busts through their basement and you reveal the wall of guns that they have, and you go, oh, maybe they'll be okay here. Maybe they'll be able to fight back, and it's a lot of fun turning the tables there. And yeah, just how creative it is. It's a quick, 95 minutes. And yeah, just a really cool sort of isolation horror with a lot of great comedic moments and things thrown in. So it was one of those movies, JPO, that came on cable just like all the time.
That's what I mean. Like I feel like cable, there was probably 3 copies of the library. That's why I feel like I saw it multiple times.
I saw this thing on like USA and like WB and stuff like all the time on the weekends. And my parents would all be like, that movie's on again? I'm watching it. And then so eventually they bought me the VHS, so I just watched it all the time on VHS. And then I, bought it on DVD and Blu-ray and 4K and everything you could have it on. You know what I mean? Every type of physical media you ever have. I want to get a laser disc just so I can have a laser disc on my wall.
That beta, that laser, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
it never come out on PSP. Like, let's figure this out.
I mean, to this day, my dad is like, "That movie's so stupid. Why do you watch it all the time?" And I'm just like, I just like it, man. It's fun. And there's something about it that I think it's just a comfort movie. One of those movies for me that I can pop on anytime and just have a great time with it, and it holds a special place in my heart. So yeah, I love Tremors. I've seen it, God knows how. Probably, I mean, I'm not even exaggerating. I've probably seen this movie 500 times. Like,
you need to go to Tremors Fest. Come on, man.
I know.
How are you not there?
Out there? I don't know how I haven't gone there, but yeah, I'm a huge fan of this movie. It's my number 2 favorite movie of all time. I almost have it sometimes at number 1. I always have to debate like Aliens, Tremors. I think Aliens is just kind of a better film overall. Just like a more epic kind of film. So I have it at number 1. But man, if you tell me what movie I've seen more than any other movie, it might be Tremors, honestly. So this might be the movie. This and The Mummy are the 2 movies I've seen more than just about any other movie.
I probably have seen Tremors. Yeah, I mean, like you said, growing up, I think Tremors definitely has my numbers over
on
Aliens.
All the time, man. Like if you had cable in the 90s, this movie was on everywhere. Like every weekend, it was on USA. This thing kept the lights on at USA, much like how on TNT, Jaws and The Shawshank Redemption and Forrest Gump kept the lights on for TNT. On the weekends. This is one of those ones for USA for sure. Yeah, man. You're number 1, man. Hit me with it. What do you got?
All right, number 1. I said it before, ironically, but it's the truth for me, I suppose. I gotta say The Sixth Sense, man.
Okay.
Another one that I just remember, like that word of mouth, like even like my mom being like, "Well, I guess we gotta watch this thing because everyone's talking about it," and it lives up, man. Even besides just the twist, which does work and is a cool twist here. It is just a well-made movie here. You have, like you said, the other ghost that he sees. You have a great Toni Collette performance here. Even like the middle sequence with the girl and the soup and the poison. Young Misha Barton, who grew up to be on the OC. That is fantastic here. And I don't know what it's like for Haley Joel Osment, man. Like, oh damn, like what a way to kick things off here and really kick the door down, because I don't know if you could pick a better kid performance than this. Like this dude.
It may be one of the great child acting performances of all time.
It's gotta be 5. Honestly, my top 5. I feel like it's gotta be, because there's this. He doesn't hit a false note. Like you're never like you believe this kid sees that.
Oh yeah. Oh, 100%.
And say what you will, and maybe we found out that it's not totally Bruce Willis's fault these last few years why he seemed checked out.
Yeah.
But he's really good in this as well here.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this is just from the slight gore. It pushes that envelope to where I'm sure it was maybe a little close to R-rated, but it works. So this world they built here, it's also even rewatchable. Even after knowing the twist, like I still think that like give it some time, put it back in, and just enjoy the performances, enjoy where it goes, and you can still enjoy it here, man. And so yeah, The Sixth Sense here. I think it was definitely my number 1.
Let me hit you with some numbers really quick. People forget this movie, $40 million budget. Just domestically, JPO made $292 million domestically, and then worldwide $672 million. That is a monster hit, especially for a horror.
This is maybe the number 1, like word of mouth. Like you haven't seen this, go see this movie.
Everybody saw this movie.
Everybody and their grandma.
So no wonder when you go. they gave him a blank check, Shyamalan, to make whatever you want the next couple of years. You
Yeah.
making movies like this where you make them $600 million in profit, they're going to give you a blank check. Hey, make whatever you want, man. What do you got on tap next? Do your thing. And he kept that roll on, with Unbreakable and Signs and stuff, like you said, for a little while there. But yeah, man, people forget how big this movie was, how much of a cultural phenomenon. Haley Joel Osment nominated for an Oscar, for his performance, and I think Sixth Sense, was it nominated for Best Picture? I don't. It may have skirted out. I'd have to fact check that. I can't remember if it was or not, because it was one of those horror movies that actually did get acclaim at the time. It got a few little technical things, I think, along with Haley Joel Osment.
No, it did. So it did not win anything, but it was nominated for editing, original screenplay by M. Night. Toni Collette got nominated. I didn't remember that.
Yeah.
Haley Joel Osment, director in Shyamalan, and picture. So yeah, it's got pretty much all the majors.
One of those few horror movies kind of
Just
along
screw
with,
you,
like,
Bruce.
Silence of the Lambs, and these few ones that skirt in there, I think that make them enough of a splash that are again, it's just mainstream enough to where it's not too like horror, it's more of a paranormal ghost movie, maybe
paranormal, relatable with a good twist that and like I said, there's even relatable in the sense too that, like, there's a good like mother-son bond, like even though this kid, like, someone just say he's crazy or like almost like try to like disown him, like she loves him, you know what I mean, like so that's kind of nice in the movie, you know what I mean, like she's hoping that like something can fix him, you know what I mean.
Yeah, right. No, it's really, really good. Yeah, like we said, so much so that people forget how good this movie was and how much of an impact it had. So yeah, no, I can't fault anybody for having Sixth Sense at number one in PG-13 horror movies, because it's still a banger, man. It works. So yeah, for sure, man. Good list all around, man. These proves that PG-13 horror, it is possible as long as you don't go with hokey jump scares and audible cues and startling people instead of actually creating atmosphere and creating characters and doing things. You can be scary without being overly gory and stuff. It can happen for sure.
Yeah, because there's definitely some I'm looking at. I threw a bunch on just in case, and Uninvited, The New Poltergeist, House at the End of the Street, Haunted Connecticut. Like, I don't really love those. As we mentioned before, things like
a lot of these movies,
things like The Pulse and
a lot of them just rely on these, like, again, there's sensory jump scares to where it's just like we're hitting with noise or music cues, and like that's not scary. That's you're being startled, not being scared. You need to set up good characters, good atmosphere.
It's the neighbor.
It's just that stuff doesn't work, and it's cheap. I hope the Boogeyman's not like that. I don't know. I haven't really dived into reviews.
Trailers seem decent. Kind of give me Lights Out vibes. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. But some good PG-13 horror, man. It's been a good conversation. I like it.
No, 100%. Let's hear that top 10 again.
Sure, yeah. My number 10 will be Lights Out. My number 9, Split. Number 8, Drag Me to Hell. Number 7, Trollhunter, if you haven't seen it. Great one. Number 6, The Sixth Sense. Number 5, Cloverfield. Number 4, Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Get on it, JPO. It's a really fun movie. 3, 1408. 2, Gremlins 2, The New Batch. And then my number 1, Tremors, one of my just all-time favorite horror movies of all time.
Very nice, very nice. And you can follow me over at Letterboxd if you want to see some of my other takes. But we got The Ring at number 10, Signs at number 9, Little Shop of Horrors at number 8, 1408 at 7, Tremors at 6, Split at 5, Happy Death Day at 4, 10 Cloverfield Lane is 3, number 2 is A Quiet Place, number 1 is The Sixth Sense.
Yeah.
Lots of numbers in there.
Yeah, I know.
10, 6,
14. Oh, wait.
And if you split it, it equals A Happy Death Day with a ring on it.
Gremlins
I don't know.
2. Yeah, I don't know. Good stuff, man.
Alrighty. Pez, any plugs, parting words?
No, just, Movie Hero Network, as always. You can find me co-hosting over there. We're doing kind of a big remake week here on the Movie Hero Network. Me and Jacob Barber just did a podcast about movies, talking about a couple of specific remakes. We talked about the Psycho remake from '98, Freaky Friday, Evil Dead, and The Jungle Book. So all kind of relating to The Little Mermaid here. Some good remakes, what they do good. We had a nice little discussion about that. And yeah, Tuesday on Tournament Fights will be a good remake tournament of 64 considered pretty good remakes. And on Friday, we'll be voting for those worst remakes, those bad ones. We alluded to a couple of them here, maybe some of those J-horror remakes and things.
I was about to ask to be on that, then I looked at my notes and I was like, I am on that. So
on
good.
That. Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, well, that would be a unique tournament because when we do these bad ones, we're going to be voting for which one's worse. So we're going to be looking for the worst of the worst. So if
I
you
love
like
movies. I love championing movies.
If you
I
like
also
it,
enjoy the occasional shit
if
talk.
you like it, don't vote for it on
Yeah.
that one. If you don't like it, you do vote for it. So it should be a fun one. It'll be a good time here over on the Movie Hero Network, man. Check us out. Give us a subscription. We really appreciate that. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah, check out our friends over the Movie Hero Network with the Pester, Jordan, Jacob, myself occasionally.
Yeah.
Like and subscribe here. If you think we missed anything major, let us know in the comments. Definitely love to hear what you think. Like I said, the list, it was a pretty decent list here. You know, I mean, even Pez had a couple that were in like my top 20 and things I hadn't seen and whatnot. So so definitely like, subscribe, tell a friend, tell an enemy, and as always, we love you more than you'll ever know. We did this under